We're trying to distance ourselves from the AI hype that we often see in the social media. We try to be critical about it. At the same time, we want to create with it. Because oftentimes in the mainstream media, we talk about AI as a productivity tool. Today, we also want to treat AI not as a design tool, but as a design material.
I bought this ring, which I made by myself and in Bali.
Some project collaborating with the young kids.
Hiking in the Dolomites.
I recently went backpacking in Sri Lanka, and that was really fun.
I was in Turkey a couple of months ago.
Overseas concert experience in Japan for Billie Eilish.
Places I have visited with my friends, and I'm excited to see what I'm gonna make later. Yeah.
One of the thoughts that went behind today's workshop is that there are different layers of distortion. So this is one central theme of the exercise, distortion, or how. So first is how we distort our own memory when we retell our own memory. So what you remember as fact, and when you phrase it into a prompt, that may already be it's not totally lossless. It's kind of lossy. So maybe you're only capturing 90% of what really happened. Human mind works in mysterious way. And then when you need to use language to describe things, there's another kind of lostliness there already. Because you can actually or factually describe everything in full details. You have to select things that you need to put into sentence. When you turn it into a prompt and when AI understands your prompt, there's another layer of misinterpretation. And then when the video comes out and you select a video, there's another layer of selection. And then eventually when you use the camera to take a photo, there's another layer of distortion and compression. And then stop animation is an accumulation of all those different kind of compression, misinterpretation, and into something new. And hopefully, if we do things right, the eventual output is interesting enough that even it doesn't capture the factual reality, but it's something amusing or potentially meaningful to you. If the way you select the prompt, the way you nudge the AI to create the videos, and the actual fact that you spend at least an hour today to create this artifact, hopefully the effort, the time, and the energy you put create some emotional value of the final artifact. Oftentimes, people disregard AI output because it's zero effort. You just click a button, maybe with a very easy prompt, a very simplistic prompt, and then they call themselves an artist. And that's one of the reasons why AI artist is being disregarded. But what we're trying today is that, maybe even with AI art creation, there's many layers that you can put effort to it, to put thought to it, like in the prompt engineering part, in the selection part, in the actual integrating into a mixed media format. So there are actually many different ways to add meaning to AI art. Through the process or through whether it's grounded with your real memory. Yeah. So this is some of the questions that Karma and I had when we come up with this idea of this workshop. And hope you folks enjoyed it.
But I guess for the sake of my own memory, I put myself as the main character rather than including everyone else. But I don't think that was very successful. So I don't think she looks exactly like me, but I guess this was the closest it can get. I think overall it still did capture the main memory, which was dancing, and through my pictures I can see a lot of movement. So I'm not too bothered by it right now, but I think if I use the actual images from my laptop, then I wouldn't really feel that closely with it.
Do you still feel like you can relate to the memory, and if that is sort of like slightly representative or partially representative of what you've experienced? That's a really interesting point, like how the thermal paper as a medium sort of
kind of blurs
negotiate that, yeah, because of the blurriness and the ambiguity in the pixels that presented, and that sort of re-navigate on how you're viewing the representation within. Do you think the distortion within all the processes has influenced what authenticity means to you after the workshop?
One of the takeaway is your brains kind of accept this distortion. Your brains make things, you think these things quite make sense.
I prompt, the more it gets further away from what I originally wanted it to be. But I think after hearing what you guys said, it's does authenticity really matter? Like, as long as the memory and the idea comes from you, and AI gives you that power to make it even crazier, make it even more surreal than how you would imagine or how you would visualize it in the first place.
That is really similar to surrealism, which is an art genre that I really liked. I think AI in some sort of way, despite there are very much a lot of abnormalities within, like in terms of how it chooses to output and in terms of how people look or objects look, they might be distorted. But then somehow it also pushes our imagination beyond what could be imagined.
There is consciousness and subconsciousness. There is something about ourselves that we do not understand. So there could be some underlying processes in our mind, in our emotions, that personal subconscious. And with AI, people start describing a lot of AI algorithms as dreams. You see a lot of AI startups using the word dream in the company name. And I find that there is some correlations there, because in a way, the AI trained on public data sets is a version of public unconscious. And we are actually playing with the public unconscious when we're generating videos. And we can see, if my life is being lived by others, maybe this is how it will look like. The idea of multiverse start popping up in a lot of popular cultures. And this is also one of the main selling points of a lot of those AI startups. The idea of dream, multiverse, exploring some possibilities that your current existing here now would not experience. And you can throw yourself in this virtual imagination and see what's the other version of your life. But when it touches on some personal memories, you're actually editing your own memory in a way. You're like glamorizing or cleaning up what is actually happened. If it's like a tourist photo, yeah, it's low risk, low harm. But imagine if you keep doing it in scale, everyone is actually editing their own memory, and I think there's something fishy there. Maybe let's start with the easiest kind of stereotyping. Let's say race. So we did, Carmen did mention about Caucasian faces being more popular in the data set. So in everyone's first attempt, if there's a person, how many of them are actually Caucasian? Okay, one, two, three. Okay, how many of them, the first attempt is already reflecting your own race or your own identity. First attempt. Okay, one. Okay, I guess, and then for some of you folks, maybe you have already written down Asian, Hong Kong, stuff like that within the prompt, so you might not have this kind of stereotyping. Okay, other kind of stereotyping. If you have used ChatGPT, you might find out that the images are often very yellowish or orange-ish. Yeah, I see a lot of nods, so you know what I mean. And my hypothesis is that the AI learned that the golden hour, like the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., is the most beautiful hour of the day. And usually the photos taken in those hours are usually golden. Yeah, it feels warm and fuzzy, the temperatures feels right. Yeah, and the AI learned that. And so a lot of time the default hours or the default color temperature is yellowish. Yeah, so that's how OpenAI trained their ChatGPT models. But every AI model will have their own default style. That maybe it's the default imagination of an Asian face. Maybe they have a particular hairstyle, particular clothing. If you just play with the model just today, you may not sense that cliche pops up. But if you keep playing for weeks or months, how come every time it's always that person? Like a recurring old friend from my childhood that keep popping up my brain, okay, during my dreams. So kind of weird vibes like this. It's always, or if it's like, if it, in my past attempt, I tried typing like a Norwegian. Every Norwegian looked the same, in a way. Maybe I'm, because I'm Asian, maybe I cannot recognize their face, couldn't tell them too much apart, but anyway. So faces is a very easy way to spot.
Because I was trying to generate a car, and then initially the first car that the AI generated is a kind of like a initial D kind of car, like the tofu shop car, which is very vintage. And then I try to, but that is something not in my memory. So my memory is something that is the newer version of like a Toyota or something.
I was a photo that I was in a art gallery. It's a very serious photo, but suddenly it shows surrealism. It's like a children suddenly, I feel like it's two children suddenly jumping with a very weird posture in the video. That was surprising me because originally I haven't jot down any prompts about the actions. I just typed like focusing on the people. So it's quite fun for the output.
My scene was about the Edo period. I was walking in the Edo period Japanese town. In terms of stereotyping, I'm not sure. I'd like to see an old lady with curly white hair. It came out with an old lady with curly white hair with a white beard as well.
My suspicion is that maybe in the data set, a lot of those white, curly, medium, short, long hair in Japan, maybe they are all male, photos of male. I have that suspicion. Let's say cats that cook in the kitchen. All that cats will have human hands. Yeah, and that's why, because they connect cooking gestures with human cooking videos, and they stitch it together with cat videos. And I suspect that's probably the root cause of that. Yeah. There's a study actually by MIT, like last year. They showed a bunch of AI videos and real photos to around 200 participants, and the conclusion of that study is that AI videos scientifically can implant fake memories. The exercise we do today is mostly for art, mostly for creation, and also about, what does it mean to be authentic? Does authenticity really matters if you capture the emotional truth? If it's made by you, with effort, with time, maybe it's still meaningful. So even if it's fake, it can still be emotionally resonant and meaningful. So that's something on the artistic side. But the same logic, if you put on a society level, there could be other consequences as well. They show around 200% a original memory, and then in the paper it's speculated in the future that this could be affecting a crime memory of a crime scene. It could affect the judicial system, how we have been making, are you guilty or not guilty? It's all based on memories, right? But if it is based on, we know deepfake, right? But sometimes it's like not maliciously edited videos. It could be just small differences. It can already make a person's recollection not trustworthy, and then it can just be disregarded the whole claim. Yeah, so a lot of small things like this can actually have second order effects in the society at large. Yeah. When I see everyone's work, I can see maybe when you're struggling with AI, when it cannot give you what you want, it's actually those stereotypes, those data biases in work, in play, and you're struggling with it. But sometimes those stereotypes can be fun. It could be surprising, it could be part of your artistic practice as well.